Jeffrey,
Bruce,
where are you? Where are you?
I am in Las Vegas, Bruce. How are
Oh,
you?
I've been there.
Yeah, and I guess you're in the city that never sleeps, New York?
No, we sleep now.
Oh, you sleep now,
Yeah,
huh?
they closed the subway for the first time because of the pandemic. They're cleaning it for 2 hours, so I guess we get to sleep.
No kidding. I am such a fan of yours. I've been following you for years, and I think
Really?
you're one of the most fascinating film historians
I'm
that's
not a
out there.
I'm not a film
No,
historian.
yes, I'm calling you one. I've been a
They
film.
can change it. I made them change it on the tweet to quintessential New Yorker. I mean,
Okay, you're the quintessential New Yorker film historian. That's what.
well, that's all right. But I'm not a film historian in that sense, I guess. But
Well, I'm just, your knowledge and your passion just shows through everything you do. And I mean, you're just totally captivating. And this year at the Turner Classic Film Festival, virtual again, online, your series, Streets of New York. And, the Streets of New York is such a classic location. Unlike, I consider it a film set. I really do.
well, it is a film set.
Yeah.
It's been
And
a film set since the beginning of movies.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the best time to watch New York is the 1970s. So tell me about New York in the 70s.
Oh, New York, that was like the low point in its history. I mean, the city was totally going bankrupt. The crime was out of control, as I say at the beginning. And then we wanted a loan from the government, and our then President Gerald Ford turned us down. So the Daily News ran their famous headline, Ford to City, drop dead. So it was a real low point, but it was a golden age of movie making because you had all these great movies, you know, riffing on this crumbling city, Death Wish, End the Crime, Shaft, Pelham 123 is a great example, The Seven Up, French Connection. You can go on and on.
Absolutely.
Love that period, and
Um, I
even
consider
movies.
that New York. The 70s is always going to be New York to me before Disney came in, and Disneyfied everything and cleaned everything up.
It's funny about Disney, and yeah, I miss the old 42nd Street, which to me was a magnificent ruin. To me it was like the what do you call it in Rome, or the Parthenon. Magnificent ruin. I used to take people on tours of the old theaters, and they kind of destroyed that. They took the atmosphere out. But you can find that atmosphere still in all parts of the city, and I think I show that in my Pelham film and in my Naked City short.
Well, taking
Yeah.
a Pelham 123, I think is the ultimate subway movie. And I love how you relish pointing out the continuity errors in these movies, and I
No,
being
I
from
don't
us.
know, but the thing is that Pelham does not have any continuity errors. That's what makes it fantastic for a New Yorker. There's so few New York movies that don't have one or two. Pelham has no continuity errors. Everything underground corresponds with what's above ground. All the subway stops are correct. They took a lot of trouble to get it right. And that's one of the things I love about it. Also, the fact that it captures the atmosphere of a working person's New York so beautifully.
And I think it also has one of the greatest movie scores of all time, also.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I
It's
mean, no
one.
beginning of a movie gets your blood going than hearing
We
that.
did it. We showed this at the TCM Classic Film Festival about 3 years ago in 2018. What year are we in,
It was,
Jeff?
yes, 2020.
2021. It was
Yeah,
3 years.
I was
I
there. It was
can't wait.
2018. I was there.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I did a little intro, and then as soon as the you heard dun 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 whatever it is, they started screaming. The audience, it was.
Yes.
I say this in my doc. They were psyched, and they didn't stop until the very end. And of course, the last shot is one of the maybe the greatest last shot in movie
That
history.
smirk of Mathau that he
Oh, don't
does.
give it away.
Oh, if you haven't seen it by now.
Yeah, but isn't that the point? You have to
Yeah,
see
you've got to help me with a trivia question for Pelham
it.
that I can't figure out. I've
Yeah.
been trying to track down the name of the actor. He's the bald man that's like, what's going on down there? He was in
Oh, I know
Moonstruck.
he is.
He's not
And
in the credits. He's
no,
not in
he
the
is.
film.
Well, I'll tell you who he is, and I have to look it up. I'm sorry,
I no, it's driving me
but
crazy
he
because he's
is
done so
in two.
many.
He's in two Coen Brothers movies.
Right, he is the quintessential New York actor. The go-to actor, and I can't find his name anywhere.
I am embarrassed that I should be prepared, but and I did do a thorough analysis of everybody. In fact, the people
I
left.
stumped the quintessential New Yorker. I love it.
Well, I mean, um, the people that I used in my accent montage, I made sure they were all from New York City. There are people I wanted to use, like Lee Daniels, who plays the commander, and Walter Matthau sees him and he goes, "Oh, I thought you were taller." One of the great funny moments.
Yeah, and it seems like a
But
lot of the actors,
he's from Philadelphia, and they
right?
were all New York born, those people in that montage, and they all have authentic New York accents. I can tell if you want to, I'll look it up. And you want to know
Okay.
now?
No, you can message me later, but it's just driving me because I've looked through the credits, I've looked
No,
everywhere. And
I
Moonstruck, he's not listed either. He's not listed in Moonstruck.
Who
That's just
isn't?
the
Who
same
isn't?
actor, the little bald guy. He's not mentioned in Moonstruck either. I can't find his name. So anyway, you find out for me because that's always been bugged me every time I watch that. Because I just think Pelham not only is just a great action movie, it's just the cast of characters, the little parts, Fat Kaz and I just
That
love this.
Kaz was Tom Petty,
Yeah.
who's also in The Naked City.
Hmm.
He's the only
Absolutely.
actor who can claim to be in both, and he was a big New York stage actor. He was in The Hairy Ape the original production of Eugene O'Neill's The Hairy Ape. His niece Maria Traversa helped me a little bit. She found some things I used in the Naked City doc. Yeah, he's terrific. He's got she sent me a little interview that he did, and his real accent was he only put it up a notch for movies. That was his accent.
Right.
He heightened it a little for movies. You
It's,
know.
but I want to know your opinion on the 2009 remake. I thought it had no
Well, I mean,
identity.
let's not talk about it.
I'm just saying no character. Okay, good. That's all you need to say. Just that's exactly how I
Well,
feel
I
too.
made a little dig at it in my film.
Yeah, I
You
saw
know. Yeah, yeah.
that. Well, it was a carbon copy. It didn't have its own identity, and it just that's we won't say any more
By
about
the
it.
way, the book, I read the book, I finally read the book before I made the film, and the book pretty much
Mhm.
lays out the detail. It's wonderful. Uh, it's also very careful about the geography of the city,
Right.
and the author was a subway buff. What was his name? Godey. That was his pen name. He was a subway buff, and it shows in the book. I recommend it.
And tell me quickly, what was the subway station that was used in most movies you had in the doc? It was
Well, it's a station in Brooklyn, the Hoyt Skirmahorn station, and the track that the MTA allows for movie shoots is an unused track that was once a shuttle train between Hoyt Skirmahorn and Court Street Station nearby, but that shut down in 1946 and it's abandoned. So that's been used in quite a few movies. It was used in Death Wish, in The Warriors, and Scorsese shot Michael Jackson in Bad there, and many other movies.
and we have to mention Footsteps of Speedy. I think I've watched that 5 times. And not only it's just that's one of those documentaries that I am there. I just love these location docs that you do, and I think after The General, that's one of the greatest silent film ever made, and it's just phenomenal.
Well, it's one of them. I mean, I love other Harold Lloyd films.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. But just what you
I
did went around all those locations, what was there, what's not. It's just fascinating how you preserve history like that, and
and
it's just
also with that doc though, uh, I really had to go beyond research on the internet. I had to go to the New York Public Library and look at microfilm for newspapers that don't exist online, like the Daily Mirror, and found articles on Harold Lloyd. It was a great project. I
your
had great fun.
details in that were just phenomenal. I mean, almost to the point of it was obsession, I thought.
Well, I mean, yeah, I do get obsessed with this.
Yeah.
And for example, he picks up the New York Times in one shot. So I said, we have something called the Times Machine. You can look at every issue of the New York Times if you have a subscription, from 1854 to 2001. So I went through every issue of the Times from 1927 when I knew he was filming to find the issue, and I found it in the ad on the back. And it was kind of fun. So that told me what day it might have been filmed, and that's
That's
kind of
great.
fun. It's also fun,
And
you know.
didn't you also do a lecture on subtitles at one of the festivals?
Yeah, and I made a short film on it that's on the Criterion disc
Right.
of.
I was in the audience for that. And I'm telling you, after I heard your lecture on subtitles, I've never seen another subtitled film again normally. Every time I see something come up, I'm like, is that the proper translation? Is that because you just gave such a detailed lecture on that opened my eyes to because I love, subtitles. I always tell people they're against it. And I said, look, after 5 minutes, you think they're speaking English. I
Well,
mean,
that's the point with subtitles. The goal of a subtitler is to make them invisible, basically.
absolutely.
That's what I always say.
Well, I think the question I want to ask you as we wrap up here today, what would your quintessential New York film? If you had to pick one, I know it's
I think,
impossible.
I think it would be Naked City
Okay.
or Pelham 123. I mean, it's that simple. Maybe add Sweet Smell Success, which is
Oh,
it's more of a fantasized version of the city, though. It's not really. I mean, it's too. It's so beautiful. James Wong Howe photography in the streets, but that's not what the city looks like.
right, right.
Pelham is what the city looks like.
Absolutely.
Naked City is what the city looks like. And Naked City, to me, very good friends with Jules Dass, and he told me a lot about it. That was his New York. The movie is not that good. It's just a kind of a potboiler police movie.
Right.
What makes it are the vignettes that they shot of the city life. That's what makes it one of the great New York movies. I did an interview for Criterion with Mike Scarego on the making of my doc and on the Naked City, which I recommend you reading. There's a lot of detail about some of the things that Jules Dassin told me about making the movie. It's called Walkers in the City. Look it up.
Well, one of my personal favorites is I just love the Sunshine Boys. I just think.
I just mentioned the Sunshine Boys.
Did you really?
I think the Sunshine Boys is a masterpiece.
It's
And
just.
saw it, believe it or not, I saw it when it opened at Radio City Musical. I
Did you
never
really?
laughed more. No one has ever given a greater comic performance than Walter Matthau.
Oh, absolutely. And I just spoke to F. Murray Abraham last week for one of his new series. East, you got to go east. And we talked about that scene, and
That
I
was
just.
one of his first things, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. That he did the Ritz, that was right when we started.
So it captures old age so well. It captures vaudeville so well. It's totally underrated, that movie.
Right.
And by the way, I've tried to show it. There are no prints right now to
No.
show. I'm going to recommend it to the TCM Fest for when we go live again and introduce it.
I hope so, because I'm glad. I hope I'm part of reminding you of that, because it's one of my favorites. And also on the DVD, if you ever saw the outtakes they had that Jack Benny was doing,
Benny
that would have been a completely different
and
movie.
Phil Silvers.
Yeah, completely different movie. That would have been a different movie.
I love Jack Benny. I could see Jack Benny. I think it would have been totally different. But George Burns is pitch perfect in that movie.
I've seen it 100 times and he doesn't make one error. It's just amazing what he does.
No.
And I love also Richard Benjamin. I just absolutely love him. You come an hour late, you get the wrong address.
Another one is underrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Richard Benjamin's movies are underrated. Racing to the Moon. I think it's a lovely movie.
It's not 10-15. It's so many quotable. I mean, I show it to young people all the time.
And actually, I have another friend, Larry Pierce, who made The Incident, which kind of is the, precursor to Pelham 123. It's
Yes.
also dead on accurate about the subway. It's the same subway line, and he of course, Larry also made Goodbye Columbus, so he knows Dick Benjamin. I saw him in the green room, and I didn't talk to him. I'd love to talk to him sometime.
Well, Bruce, we could talk all day, and thank you so much.
Come to Vegas. I've been there twice.
Will you come to Vegas, or I'll come to New York? I've been in New York in 3 or 4 years. Being on junkets, I would go to New York 30 times a year. So, but now everything kind of stops.
Again, I was there in the late 70s when there were still Old West casinos.
Oh, I'm born and raised here. My family came here in the 50s. So yeah, I know the old Vegas very well. So this has been a total.
Those old casinos with the.
Oh, downtown, the El Cortez, they're all still here.
Yeah, but the ones I'm thinking of, like they had like naked women's hand slots.
Yeah. Well, that would be like the Thunderbird or the Silver Slipper, the Castaways. Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
They're all gone, but they're still in my memory. So Bruce, this has been such a thrill. We'll talk again soon, and find out that actor's name for me so I don't go crazy.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh. You can look it up now?
I can tell you in a flash if you give me a second.
I'll give you a second. As long as they don't yell at me, I'm good.
Who's yelling at you?
Oh, no. We just have time,
I never yell at you, darling.
There's Emma. Yeah.
You're the last interview before lunch, so you need to find us out.
Oh, we have a lunch break.
Yeah, you got a break, and then you go to 3:30.
They changed.
AJ was from before, and he went up into that space.
You know what? They changed the IMDb. It's actually easier to navigate now. I mean, to see. Okay, it's not in the first group.
Trust me, I've researched it. I can't find his name.
No, I know his name. I'll tell you in a second.
This is a
Oh,
very
here we
important
go.
thing. You both need to do this. This is like spiritual.
He's now obsessing like I have every time I watch that, because I
Oh
just
my God,
such
I
a
love
New York
that.
actor, you know? He's always in New York films.
Once the hand goes on the head, I know he's serious.
I stumped him. I love it.
No, you didn't stump me.
Nobody ever stunts Bruce.
I occasionally, but it's not. Oh, Jesus, where is he? He's not Gary Bowling, the homosexual.
No, I'm just telling you. I've looked through IMDb. I've looked on Wikipedia. I've looked in other movies I remember him being in, but they don't list him. Moonstruck's his most famous.
It's not Walter Jones, is it?
I have no clue. If you don't go on record, Bruce, if you don't know.
You know what? I knew his name because someone who worked with him. Gee, this is really. All right, I'm gonna send you a message.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
I'm gonna connect you
Cut
to.
this part out. We don't want to.
No. I'm gonna send an email to you both called Mystery Actor.
Okay.
And you are now connected by email.
It's Willis Pinkett.
You think
It's
so?
what?
I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
Well, you should be able to Google him, and his picture should come up, right? That's how he's not.
Not Willis Pinkett because no, his picture doesn't come up.
He should. I mean, when you think of actors, especially in the 70s, that were always go-to actors, he was one of them. You know, you see him in all these little bit parts.
But he's in the Coen Brothers movies.
I know. Maybe he wanted it that way. I don't know.
I know his name, but I don't see it here.
Okay.
I've connected you via email, so you
Okay.
can. And I've literally called it Mystery Actor.
Okay, his name is Robert Weil.
Oh.
It's Robert Weil?
Weil. He's also in Moonstruck, The Hudsucker Proxy, and Taking a Pelham 123. Died in 2002, age 87. Born and died in New York City. Robert Weil. He played Marino. And he's
got it.
What's going on down there?
That's him.
Yeah, Robert Weil.
And also the actress.
I apologize to your viewers that I.
It's okay, because I remember him in that scene, and then the black actress, she was in The Super with Joe Pesci, you know, so she was
a friend of my doctor's. Her name was Beatrice Wind. She was a friend of my I sent a note to my doctor. He says, I used to be friends with Beatrice Wind. Really?
No kidding. Bruce, you're full of surprises. You should be the official ambassador of New York
I'm
City.
sorry. I apologize for not knowing Robert Weil off the top.
I just know that now I can come to the next TCM Fest knowing that I stumped the great Bruce Goldstein.
You didn't stump me entirely.
No, but you had to look it up. You had to look it up. Thank you again.
Recognize his name.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much.
Okay.
Great job as always. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.